Morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, October 10th, 2024. We're here for a work session agenda. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Denise, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Denise. Okay, we have a couple items or announcements to make. This Sunday, October 13th, is the Riverhead Country Fair, and the weather looks great, and it's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you're looking for something to do, it's always a great time down there. Again, Sunday, October 13th, Riverhead Country Fair from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday, October 14th, Town Hall is closed for Columbus Day. And tomorrow, Friday, October 11th, is Garfield Langhorne Day, and we have something special happening. I will let Councilman Rothwell explain it for us.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. Tomorrow is the second Friday in the month of October, and we had the distinct pleasure 2 years ago to present a resolution proclaiming this day as Private First Class Garfield Langhorne's Day. Through the great work of the Veterans Advisory Committee, we've been given the incredible honor to have on loan to us Private First Class Garfield M. Langhorne's Congressional Medal of Honor. We are truly grateful to Garfield's family to share his Medal of Honor with us. It will be on display tomorrow through Veterans Day here in the lobby of Town Hall. We invite all Town Hall employees and our entire community to join us tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. here in the lobby in the presence of Garfield's family to unveil his Congressional Medal of Honor for all to see. We will share his heroic story as well to keep his memory alive. There's a biblical quote that says, "There is no greater sacrifice than to lay down one's life for others." And that so profoundly says the story of Garfield Langhorne. I'm grateful to all of our veterans and all that serve our country. And we look forward to this incredible honor tomorrow morning. So please join us.
Thank you, Ken. I will tell you, I saw you guys putting it together yesterday, and the public is going to be very happy and surprised when they see what it is. A fantastic job, and I encourage everybody to come out for that. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
It's quite emotional just to be able to hold his medal for a few moments in
Yes.
your hand and to place it in the case. So it's
Unbelievable.
it'll be very moving tomorrow morning.
Very good. All right, we're going to move on to open session. We have, we'll start out with matters surrounding a follow-up discussion regarding a pilot for paid parking with Kevin Wood, Dawn Thomas, and Eric Howard.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just to set the tone here a little bit, we talked about this at our last work session about implementing a paid for parking trial run on the day of the country fair, and then afterwards we started talking and we felt maybe it was better to run to give us a more accurate model to go by. We decided to go with 30 days, so we're back to talk about that today. Been a little confusion in the community and everything, but I will turn that over to you guys now and explain it. Thank you.
I'll do a little quick intro. So, as we've been discussing, Kevin is working on a pilot program to test a parking system, including the technology and equipment, and also to make sure that the stakeholders in the community are deeply involved in what we decide to do. There was some confusion, as you had indicated, over the idea that paid parking was coming soon. It is not coming soon. It is coming at some point, but in order to make it go smoothly when it does arrive and when the time is right for the board to implement paid parking, we will have all of the data that we need to collect to make sure that it runs smoothly, that the stakeholders and the businesses downtown understand what's happening, know how the system works, that the public is well aware of how the system can work. And as we also indicated at the last meeting, paid parking becomes necessary to manage existing parking. So in our prior parking studies, it's been clear that currently we have adequate parking, but it's not well managed and it's not prioritized to the consumers and the public. So for instance, the typical standard of parking, which Kevin can tell you more about because he's an expert in this, is you want the turnover closest to the places of business. So so those are the things that we're working on, but because of some of the stakeholder engagement, the country fair was a little concerned about doing the test on that day. So in considering the stakeholders and having further conversations, we recommended that we do a little bit of a longer test and push it a little bit past that start date. So I'll let Kevin take it from there.
Sure, I think most of you are aware of the 2020 study, and a good study, but a lot of theory there. So because I'm local, I was hired to come here and get into the nitty-gritty of what it means to have a managed parking program. As I had said last time, the three things that I need to complete my full report is the eventual structure of what a parking and enforcement departments look like. Some very, very deep, detailed feedback from businesses and the public. And those surveys have happened before the announcement of this pilot and a survey after the pilot. I think are consummate and very, very needed for you to see and the public to see fully. So that's the reason for this pilot.
So Kevin, I think it's important, I know you've reached out to all the businesses, which is great. I think it's important for the public to know that, number one. Number two, also that any of the patrons who go in there are not going to be paying, right? Is anybody, so in other words, they're going to be given a code?
This is a true paid test, so
Right.
So if I go into a
customer/public-
restaurant, I'm paying even the restaurant? So-
You'll scan the code in the parking lot when you park, and you will pay and then go into your restaurant, just during this 30-day period. After that, it can be set up differently, so there can be exemptions or exceptions for certain days or certain people, or it can be set up with the restaurants where you can go in and the restaurant will pay for the parking, or there's so many different variables to it, but that's way ahead of us yet. That's not where
Well,
we're at
no,
right
I
now.
understand that. I'm talking about these initial 30 days, because I was under the impression that if I went to a restaurant, ate in that restaurant, I spent 2 hours in there, right? That I was going to be given a code because I was occupying that restaurant,
Okay.
right? The other thing is where it's being done. There's a lot of offices, right there on, I think it's 30 West Main.
20 and 30 West
20
Main.
and 30 West Main. Will they be given a code so they don't have to pay to park? Because that's where they park.
Right, so let me say this. I would think that no matter what parking lot we chose that was convenient to Main Street, all those concerns would still take place. So I don't want to give anybody the idea that this particular parking lot was chosen for any other reason, that it's manageable, right? And it's a size and it's busy enough where we can truly get the numbers we need. What you're speaking about is validation. And
Yes.
if I may give this to you, we will have validation in place, but it's optional as to whether a restaurant wants to validate. That'll be part of
Thank you.
what I'm doing in terms of educating a restaurant. Maybe a restaurant doesn't want to validate. So
If a restaurant validates, just clarify that. Does that mean the restaurant is paying for the parking, or does that mean?
That's correct.
Okay, so they have to choose to pick up that cost.
Exactly. So they would choose that. We're a little bit ahead of ourselves because some of these ways that we validate, and there's 4 great ways to validate, would involve enforcement and systems that we do not yet have in place. So at this point, a validation can be something as simple as, thanks for coming in, I understand you paid in the back, can I take that parking off your bill? It could be that simple, and I will start an education process in that regard. But again, if somebody, because what you're really talking about is somebody going onto Main Street and not, I think what you're intimating, they're not wanting to pay. And what I had said last time is only a few feet away at the parking lot we're not testing, they could park for free.
No, I understand that. I'm specifically talking about the parking lot behind Diggers,
Yep.
right? Specifically. And this is, and so for 30 days, I mean, because I just look at the businesses struggling now, but aside from that,
Do you know for a fact they're struggling? Because part of what I talk to them about is how they are doing. And I haven't heard that.
Okay,
Also, Bob, keep in mind, that particular parking lot, and you mentioned 30 West Main and 20 West Main, if the employees are parking there all day, it's hurting the businesses. So the idea of paid parking is, you come in, you turn over the parking. You come in, you go do what you gotta do.
No, I understand
And you
that.
leave. But with this, the people at 20 and 30 West Main can park right across the street in the other parking lot for free all day long. And it's freeing up spaces for customers to come and use the businesses.
My second question, I get that. So my second question is this, there's a parking district tax, right? Does this conflict with the fact of with the parking district tax at all?
Well, that tax relates to like maintenance of the parking lots and.
Okay,
all
I'm just
that.
asking the question. I was asked to ask the question, that's all.
So Bob, to
I'll-
answer,
Yeah, okay.
one of these validation methods will be in place so that the restaurant at their choice could essentially pay for the test of parking. That will be in place.
So just to, I imagine this is to try to determine usage going in and out down there. Do we necessarily have to charge a fee, or can it be simply participate and scan a code just to see the utilization of it, or where people are going and how long they're there for?
Thank you for asking that question. We were around the table on that a few times. I think you'll agree any system would not be fully tested unless we had, good and bad, by the way. I scanned this thing and I couldn't pay. Or this was the easiest thing I've ever done, or somewhere in between. We feel we need these actual transactions coming into the town of Riverhead's bank account to truly say this has been the test that we want to test. We think it's really important.
Why the length of 30 days? It's like, can we do a week or 2 weeks? So like, tell me a little bit about like how we
There
chose
was
30 days.
there was, in the time frame that we chose some holidays, but some normal business days and some weekdays, and so the longer time frame, we hoped to capture, during the one-day test, a busy day. So we're gonna have a variety of days now that we're gonna have data on that we wouldn't otherwise have, and an opportunity for the businesses to see how it works, for us to understand if people have a lot of questions or concerns, or if there are any issues. The best way to do this, as Kevin said, we have plenty of studies, and but the boots on the ground study that we're gonna do here is making sure that, once the board decides to deploy it townwide, it's smooth and easy. Everybody knows what, and obviously, as we've talked about, people don't like change. People don't feel they want to pay to park. We're building a parking garage. That parking garage will have operation and maintenance costs. We want to make sure that the taxpayers are not coming out of pocket to cover those costs, that structure is maintained by the existing parking system, and that it continues to be operated and maintained at no cost to the taxpayers by the users. And so, it's important for us to test this. It is just about as real could be, and we'll be able to hear what the businesses think. Are they getting more customers? Are people complaining less about parking? Are there more spaces available because of this? And, how does the validation work? What's the best method to use? Is this the right system for us? Is this vendor the right system for us? All of that will be real information, no guessing. So that's the idea of this. Again, it's not coming soon. It is coming at some point, for sure. The parking garage is a little bit out right now, even though we have 3/4 of the funding available. And, based on our analysis, it looks very clear that the funds from the district parking will, pay for that garage and all the other parking in town. And so, it's time to do it. And it's,
Do we have a little bit like more specific time frame? Is it like 2 years out that we think construction? Like what would be?
so the reality of that project is we have the grant award. We have 2 grant awards. We have over 17 million for the garage, which we anticipate will cost 23 million. So we're a little bit short, but that is not an insurmountable number, and is very probably easily covered by the revenue that's generated from the parking. So the contract, we're waiting for the contract. We're working with the federal government on the contract for that grant. We are told that the average time frame within which to enter into a contract is over a year. So we've been turning it over quickly. We're working with accounting and our department to do that. We've made several rounds of resubmissions. We're going to push it as hard as we can. If we cannot spend any money per this grant until that contract is signed, including the match money. So originally I had hoped to take the $2 million from the county, do all the, get up to bid specs, and then when we got the money from the feds, but we can't do that. Otherwise, we can't count it toward the match. So once we get that contract, then we will be doing an RFP for design of that garage, so I anticipate it'll be hopefully next summer, because I'm pushing that we go shorter than a year. They said sometimes 3 months, but average is a year. It's a complicated thing. We've happily become good at doing these complicated things through DRI. Our staff in our office is second to none. They really know exactly how to do this. So we are really, grinding through it and like literally turning it right over. As soon as that contract is signed, we're gonna work to get the RFP issued. Once that RFP issues, it'll give us design, preliminary design, then we have to go to final design, then we have to go to construction drawings and bid docs. That'll probably take 6 to 8 months. Once we have bid specs, we go to bid, and then we start building. So I would say we probably shovel in the ground 2 years from now.
Take a year to build, or what do you think?
They're
Somebody who's seen
prefab.
that
I'm
past.
told
would
they
say
go
less.
up very quickly. They're precast
6 months.
sections, yeah. So it's not gonna be a giant, but we've already done ground penetrating radar. We've already done soil borings, so we know what the foundation needs to look like. So we've done everything we can do,
So just for the public.
but this is
I
sort
know
of
it's-
gearing up to that, so we need to make sure that we're ready when that happens.
So just generalize, this test now is probably for a project that would be completed in about 2.5 years, maybe from now? At
Well,
best?
I think up to the board, and let's see what Kevin's report says, but
Yeah, for sure.
we would like to implement the parking program before that happens, because we want to make sure that it, A, works smoothly, and B, that the revenue is being generated and the parking is being utilized in the best possible way that it can. So we're getting that turnover. We did talk about the grace period on Main Street, like a 15-minute grace period all along Main Street. So if you want to get a cup of coffee or drop someone off or at ballet or pick them up.
And
you know,
or this lot as well. This-
and
we could do a
or
grace
this
period
lot,
in
right? So if you want to pick up your pizza and you're
Right.
not going to pay, those are the things that but these are the things we need to figure out now, so that we don't want to be ready to pull the trigger the
Right,
day
I
we
mean-
build the garage. We want to be ready to go and make it smooth.
I
I
just
think
meant
it's
like the
important to
study.
reiterate, sorry, go
No,
ahead.
and then I'll be.
Go ahead.
Just that, I just mean, like, so the study is done for 30 days, but then there's a pause, it stops, and then realistically, we're talking about a garage that could be 2.5 years away from now. So it's not, we're not doing the study continue, I know we're saying 30 days, but it's not gonna
Yeah, it's not
continue. Remember,
soon.
this is just to give a little glimpse of the future for a 30-day span for a project that really won't be implemented till the parking garage is done, right? 2.5
Probably
years
a
away
little
from now?
before that,
Before the parking
but-
garage is done.
However, it's not going to be a surprise. So, and
Right.
everything that happens will be something that we've looked at, studied, known, spoken to someone about, coordinated on, and, we're trying to make sure that we are not, government surprises are never good. So we don't want to surprise anybody with anything.
And then the last thing is, where does the money go to? So is it being, the money that's collected over 30 days, is it being applied to the parking garage future built, or is it going general funds, or where's the money coming?
That would not be for me to answer.
So, we haven't discussed that yet. I don't think it's going to be a substantial sum of money, so I think it'll be, so we'll have to figure that out. It's really just to test the flow of the money into the account, because it goes automatically into the town's account, whether it becomes a parking district garage, whether it becomes a town-owned garage, whether we create some other kind of entity to manage parking in downtown, whether, those are TBDs, but a lot of those decisions can be made based upon the things that are happening now.
So,
Jeanette, I think you
Yeah.
might want to pipe in on that?
Yeah, I can actually speak to where the funds will go. So if this lot behind Diggers is part of the parking district, the funds have to go back to the parking district.
Okay, good.
So that's where they'll go.
Perfect.
So I wanted
Sure.
to further answer what you had said, the public, which is extremely important for me to be public-facing. We will have, and it's actually in draft mode, a dedicated website to the pilot with a 24/7 text-to-help number. So businesses, public, yourselves, everybody will always be apprised exactly what's happening. And then also to address what you were saying, I'm very much knowing that real-time changes, and we shouldn't be afraid of those real-time changes based on feedback is really important. Look what we learned already in 2 weeks. We said, Well, it wouldn't be fair to do one day, so to speak, because it's just particularly possibly targeting, or at least perceived to be targeting, an event only. And we didn't want that, so we pulled back from a one day and we said, let's do the 30-day. And wouldn't be fair also if, because what I was told was event vendors park in that lot. I was actually surprised to hear that. I would not have event vendors parking in a lot that is amazingly valuable to people coming to frequent the businesses that are on Main Street. So we learned that, and we can also now track that going forward. That should not be happening. Those vendors should drop off, in my humble opinion, should drop off and then go to a designated section to where vendors should park. Instead, because you don't have managed parking, they just park where it's closest. Nobody's blaming them. I would do the same thing until such time that it's managed differently.
You know what, just to address that, Kevin, the reason why that has been done in the past is because they come in, they have to drop off by a certain time, right? Park, and when they leave, they have to leave by a certain time. So we wanted their vehicles, their vans close. A lot of bands come so that they could load up. If we ask them to park, let's say at the TOD, it's can really mess with timing when you have, over way 100 booths. It
Right.
can,
I completely understand that, but there's a lot at the Second Street that's huge and much more empty for that purpose. And it's just a matter of developing policy to what makes sense. That's what we're trying to do.
No,
here.
I get that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And I think if I roll it back to like 2020, when we first did the parking study, the first study that I was involved in, the businesses were clamoring because they were angry that the people would park all day in spots close to businesses. They'd sit on Main Street in those spots all day. If we don't manage the parking, it makes it harder for the businesses to do business because people will drive around, they'll figure out, I'm going to go someplace else. But if you go behind Diggers and you don't have to make 3 loops, you park right away, you're like, oh, what a relief. And you walk in there because everybody knows that's the condition it is in currently when those businesses at 20 West Main and 30 West Main, those offices, they could park literally 500 feet away for free all day and not disrupt anything in that parking lot. Those are the things that we're trying to get
It's
fixed.
important to reiterate that we are not trying to hurt the business owners. We want the business owners to thrive downtown
Yeah.
because when they thrive, Riverhead thrives.
Yep. And this is something that we've been talking to them about literally for 5 years now. They know it's coming, they haven't been opposed to it, and but we just keep getting closer and closer to being able to actually implement it with their input. I mean, it hasn't been anything done in a vacuum. Kevin's been boots on the ground talking to business owners directly. We've been emailing, we've had multiple meetings, we've had a lot of discussion. It's not as if people don't know this is happening and they aren't unhappy about
Your
it.
premier business here, Suffolk Theater, I consider, one of your premier businesses very much in favor of managed parking.
So when we do this study, are we focusing on just one particular lot, or are we going to try to change signs on Main Street to make them free for 30 minutes or less to get a better handle of what the future lies of what it's going to be like? So we putting signage other places so that they know?
Parking on Main Street, there's three areas that are 15 minutes free,
With current signage.
current signage. So we're not planning on changing any of that. We're just testing this one lot to see how we go.
Kevin,
And
I like
it's
it.
$1 an hour. It's not,
That's
You
the
know,
other
it's
thing
not
we
a-
learned.
I think, yeah, Kevin
If
might
I
wanna
may say
mention it.
this, and, we had the pictures taken by the newspaper here, and it was only a sample sign. That's the first thing everybody needs to understand. It was only a sample to show artwork, to show the branding of the Riverhead town, but in that it said $5 all day. So of course, social media lit up. That was just a sample. In retrospect, we probably wouldn't do that if we're trying to encourage turnover. An event day might be different, and so we will be taking that away.
So Kevin, I like that you're doing a grace period because I think, like if I go to Diggers and I can't park in front to pick up a to-go order, right? And I can drive around back, and you say maybe they'd be, because there's another, behind Diggers to the west, there's a takeout place there.
Yes.
I always see people in and out of there.
Yes.
So that, how you gonna handle that?
Yeah, we would absolutely instill a grace period.
And how do you enforce the grace period?
The clock starts 15 minutes, or whatever this board as a resolution decides on.
Right.
And then that is carried on to the people that enforce it.
Okay. I'm
We
just-
do not have the equipment in place.
Understood. I
do
know
that.
you don't do, I'm
Yeah.
just curious. Okay.
So for those small shops right in there, do we not want to just consider to put 10 spots or something behind Diggers in that area
Absolutely.
that is 20 minutes or less, or 30 minutes or less, or something where we won't get the all dayers, that are normally in the lot across the street to
Yeah,
go over there,
that's
and now
happening,
Diggers
yeah.
is faced with a full lot for, all day long, and then their customers are still going across the street to pay. So how do we,
Yeah. so-
that's what I'm concerned about. Instead of just doing one lot, can we spread it out a little bit to give a better idea of what the future lies?
Well, we feel we need an encapsulated lot with a single egress and ingress, which is part of the reason. But what you're starting to speak about is curb management, and I forwarded on a video of first of its kind curb management that's being done in Fort Lee. And it's kind of amazing what we can do. We can manage every aspect of that for deliveries, pickups, Ubers, and then at night those can become different spots. They can become drop-offs for the hotels, or all that's coming. This is just one little baby sort of piece of the puzzle to get this board and the public and the businesses comfortable with what, I think you'll be surprised at the positive feedback you'll get from this once it's done.
What's the time frame? When do you plan on implementing it? Like, particular time of year, or?
Well, so I
The
think,
pilot?
Yeah.
10 days after the resolution.
Yeah,
right?
Kevin says he needs 10 days to set it up. If the board adopts a resolution on the 16th, he could have it ready to go 10 days after that.
I'd like to go back to the time frame. I mean, is 30 days, I don't know, and look, this is, you know this better than I do, but what's wrong with 1 week? If you go from Monday to Monday, you're going through a weekend?
I don't particularly have any professional, personal problem with a 2-week trial.
Okay, so 1 week, so 1 week is not enough?
Defer
Yeah,
to you. I'm
we
gonna
were
defer.
hoping to capture a holiday weekend in there, so we had
I mean,
Thanksgiving in
I'm
there, so.
I'm just
but-
trying to,
Sure.
so
I-
you could,
We have to encapsulate a weekend, for sure. We have to encapsulate all times of the day. We have to encapsulate rain, right? Very important. Hey, I stood in front of this sign and I couldn't do this and I was rained upon. I want to hear that. Maybe we need to put covers on top of the signs, or whatever it is. Let's hear it all. But let's get through some bad weather, good weather, sunny weather, I can't see the screen, whatever it may be. This will be very, very good, valid information, and I believe it hurts no one at all.
so a week is not enough, but 2 weeks is enough.
Deferring to yourself, I'm okay with 2 weeks.
2 weeks is fine with me if
If,
Kevin.
if you're
feels it would
comfortable with
collect
2
the
weeks, I'm
data.
fine with 2
Yeah,
weeks.
so
I
the
want an
next-
accurate
Right.
Yeah.
figure,
That's
and
what I
if 2
want
weeks
you to
is
have.
gonna
We're
give
talking
it.
about one parking lot.
Right.
I know.
I want you to have
Yeah, but I
Over
mean, if you're
2,000
gonna get a
spaces,
sampling,
127
2 weeks
spaces.
is enough, then
Right.
he's
But
the
to
expert.
Kevin's point,
Right.
he's saying he wants to make sure that he can
A
get
good
feedback
sample
for
size.
if it rains. I saw the weather, extended
why
forecast
I'm-
this morning. No rain in sight.
Right, but for if 2 weeks, I'm fine with 2 weeks. Now, if other, and that's just me. The other question I have is, do you need to have an app? So when you scan that, how does that work? Do people have to download an app in order
No.
to?
No, it's a
Okay,
QR
I want the
code.
public to know, I
Was he
Yeah,
here
that'll
the other
understand
meeting?
that.
That'll be on the webpage, and I will do a full explanation of this before it happens, hence why I need the 10 days. You do not need an app. It's mobile compliant, and an iPhone 7 or above will be able to scan.
So so what happens if you don't
You
have?
text the park.
And, yeah, I'm sure all platforms.
So I like where you're going. You're going to say, what happens if nobody has a phone and does not have the ability to do this? How are they going to pay? They're not going to be able to pay. They're going to either have a friend do it, or we're, as a collective unit here, we're going to say, the population here doesn't have phones, which I don't believe, but I'm just putting it out there.
No, I-
We might need to do meters in there too. It's not really the way the industry's going, but I just want to say, if there was a possibility that 20% of people had no idea how to scan the park, not the truth, but if it happened, then we'd have to come up with different ways.
Okay.
So then, you're the liaison to
Yes.
the parking group, so what do they think of this whole project?
Well, initially, everybody was in agreement with this. There were concerns that they did not know exactly how long this was going to last, and I believe that they're in favor of this. I do. I think you have to start somewhere, as everyone agrees. They do want to have the managed parking. And you can't just build a garage and then figure out afterwards what you're going to do with it. So we start small with tests like this. It may involve other tests, like Kevin said. You may have tests with regard to the 15 minutes on Main Street. These are just little small baby steps.
Small baby
for
steps.
something, thank you for pointing it out, that's going to be 2 years down the road. But you have to start. So that's all this is, a small
The
step.
chair of the parking committee was in agreement with
Mm-hmm.
this test. He did have concerns, rightly so, of where funds eventually go. Again, those are different conversations.
No, I think it's great because I think a lot of businesses suffer, especially behind diggers, when the people working in some of those buildings are there all day. I try to go to diggers and I can't get a parking spot.
That's the busiest,
That's
that's
exactly-
repeatedly
And I don't know
identified
if
as
you
the
know this,
busiest
but
lot in town.
I'll give you a statistic, and in Huntington, for example, 30% of the businesses that go in there fail, and they keep revolving because people don't like driving around the block, driving around. It's like, you know what? I'll go to another pizza place
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And that's what
then
happens.
I
So, I mean,
and
I'm definitely in
Cucina's a
favor
good
of,
example
you know,
of a business that could
of
use
this trial. I mean,
those high
again, for
turnover
me, 2
spots.
weeks is, if you feel it's enough, then
If you wanted to word it in a resolution, 2 weeks and then a 2-week extension, I don't know if that's possible. We could do that, or you could do that.
Are you opposed to the month, Bob? To the 30 days? Or is that,
yeah.
is that too long for you?
If the
I'm fine
consultant
with
is
that.
saying 2 weeks is enough, I'm fine with 2 weeks.
I'm fine with
I'm
30.
fine with-
I'm fine with 30, just to give you a
Yeah.
real sample size.
I think we need some real data to
do
support
too.
moving towards a parking garage.
All
That's
right,
the
I'll vote
concern.
for you. I don't care.
Yeah. I think
30 in
just
the,
my
30 in the
personal
summer
opinion
may
is
have,
30 days
may have
would
felt
be-
differently, but this is now going into, we'll be into November
Yeah.
at this point.
You know, there is another issue that really hasn't been discussed, and that's overcrowded houses. Some of their parking is in these lots, and they're leaving their cars there, and this is a way to combat that problem as well.
Absolutely. The first thing we'll do at 6 o'clock in the morning is we'll see how many cars, we
Yeah.
call it ground zero. There should be 0 cars in there, but I can bet you there won't
Yeah.
be 0 cars in there.
And that's a really good point.
Well, the
because,
public has
yeah.
been, you know, in an outcry of, why aren't you doing anything? Well, we're trying to do something, and this is a tool that we can use to do away with that
No,
and free up parking.
it's a good point because behind Maximus, there's definitely people that
Yeah.
are not populating any of the businesses. They're just parking overnight. and-
Well, keep in mind, there's apartments above Maximus.
Yeah, but not very many for the
20.
amount of cars that are in
Well,
there.
But there's-
19, I think there
It just-
are.
Like Second Street
But I think
doesn't have
the
enough
thing
parking.
is,
They're parking in that
Exactly.
municipal
keep,
parking
the other
lot
thing
for
too
free.
is that the residents that live on Second Street and Third Street, you know, ultimately don't want people parking on, from Main, you know, so we can't leave that free. They're gonna have to be permitted parking. They'll have a permit to park on the street there versus hogging up the lots that need the turnover. The better we do supporting businesses downtown by getting more turnover and getting more customers is the better for everybody in town. It's just economic development all around. It helps the businesses, it helps the residents, it gets where we want to be, and, you know, it's important to get started on it.
All right, 30 days or 2 weeks, where we at?
30 days.
I'm 30 days.
I'm 30.
I like
I'm
that.
2 weeks. I'm outvoted. I should have likes 30.
What do you want, Ken?
Again?
It's okay.
All right, let's not beat a dead horse into a parking stall here.
There you go.
30 days it is, we'll do the resolution up and have it ready to go, and we can get started.
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
Awesome.
Very much.
My door's open. Thank you.
thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, Dawn, don't go anywhere. Next up, we
Thanks,
have matters surrounding
You're welcome.
implementation of Limited English Proficiency Policy, known as LEP, and that'll be with Dawn Thomas.
Okay, so we circulated to the board a policy for limited English proficiency that would, thank you, allow the board to work to implement certain measures over time and with, you know, as need arises to address people with limited English proficiency. So for instance, translation of forms or translation of any other information that's required. I know we're working on a new website that we would hope that that would address limited English proficiency. I know Joe in our office did a little research. The Riverhead Free Library has a wonderful translation program. It translates anything on their website to many, many different languages. We'd like to do that too. We have quite a few different languages spoken in town. And so this is something that we probably ought to have already done. It's going to be required too, is for our grants. We're getting federal grant money, and so in order to get those federal dollars, we do need to have a limited English proficiency policy. So here it is, and this is what we're working on. We've circulated it with the law department. The draft that you have is a collaborative effort drafted initially by Joe Majorana in our office and reviewed by law department.
Yeah, you see this on the state website, county has this, and it's, how do we do this prior to doing it on the internet? Through our website.
It's going to be as needed, the way we've set it up now. So if a person comes in and says, could you translate this form, we can work to get that done. We have a number of different Spanish-speaking employees that can help, and or to provide that. I mean, and the board's been very good about hiring employees with, multiple language speakers so that we can address these issues.
Does our staff need to be trained, for example, like if somebody doesn't understand this page and I have an electronic version, I can copy it, put it into Google Translate, and there's all the languages there.
That's the kind of stuff that we have to work on. We have to collect a little data as well. So if we're going to have to ultimately report at some point how many people come in and request those services, and so this is moving in that direction.
Great.
We're also thinking about implementing the language line system that the police department and justice court currently use and making it town-wide in all of our offices. Whether it's sewer, water, or any office in this building, they would all have access to the language line, which will help if a customer comes in. It will work out. It's fairly inexpensive to do. So
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, between AI and translate services and, the things that are being done with different websites, there's a lot of opportunity for us to provide, more convenient services to our residents.
I'm surprised that this wasn't implemented sooner, to be honest.
And saves the expense of hiring people to do all of
Yes,
this too.
exactly.
And waiting for them to go from one place to another.
Yep, and getting as good of a translation as we can
That's
possibly
right.
provide.
And there's, in the Spanish language, there's so many dialects.
Yeah.
It would be impossible to have a translator for every particular dialect.
Yes, yep, and we have Polish speakers and Ukrainian speakers, and Joe put in here the stats, and we have quite a few different languages. We have 4,000 Spanish, 1,700 other Indo-European languages, 124 Asian and Pacific Island, and 230 speak other languages, and so, it's time. to do this.
absolutely.
That's great.
And that is all on that topic.
All right. Well, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you very much.
Devin, we're going to move on to resolutions. Good morning.
Everybody's ready to go?
Yep.
Resolution number 1, Water District Capital Project 82308, Budget Adjustment. Resolution number 2, Water District Budget Transfer. Resolution number 3, rescinds Town Board Resolution number 2023-294.
Could we just get a quick discussion on that?
Sure, we'll ask Jeanette to come forward and just clarify, but this is back from 2023. It's really just a cleanup item, as I understand it.
Okay.
So that relates to the ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan. So we proposed a resolution or adopted a resolution back in, I don't remember how early we did it, but for $70,000 to help with the purchase of the citizen software for OpenGov for permitting for code enforcement. And at that time, we were kind of just getting into the project, but we were going to use the ARPA funds for it. We decided not to use the American Rescue Plans for it, but we never rescinded the original adoption of the reso. So we have to rescind that because we've since reallocated the money to other ARPA spending. And we have until December 31st to obligate all of the American Rescue Plan funds, which I'm happy to say at this point that they are all obligated. So we are all good, and we will have full use of those funds.
Good,
So-
very good. Thank you, Jeanette.
Okay, resolution number 4, authorization for one police department employee to attend training, leadership training. Resolution number 5, accepts resignation of and appoints member to the Town of Riverhead Industrial Development Agency, Barbara Rizzi. Resolution number 6, authorizes the removal of all litter, garbage, refuse, rubbish upon the premises known as, it should be 12 Longview Drive in Riverhead, so we'll make that correction in the system for Tuesday, Wednesday.
Said Longview?
Correct.
It's up in Reeves Park.
Resolution number 7, acceptance of youth mentoring sports grant, and we should add the word award, so it's really a grant award there. Resolution number 8, authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 263 entitled of the Riverhead Town Code, Penalties for Offenses. And this is for the no rental permit. We're going to increase the fee for folks on that. And we'll have a public hearing on November 19th at 6:10 p.m. Resolution number 9 authorizes town clerk to publish and post a notice to consider adopting a local law to override the tax levy limit established by and set forth in Article 2, Section 3C of the General Municipal Law, and to consider adoption of the 2025 preliminary budget for the town of Riverhead. And just to point out, we have a correction we just have to make in the actual notice. This public hearing is going to take place on November 7th at 2 p.m., and we just had a little typographical error. We wrote 6 o'clock. We meant to write 2 o'clock in the notice, so we'll make that change. Okay, we're all set on that. Resolution number 10 authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to consider a law to amend Chapter 217 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Penalties for Offenses. Another typographical error in this resolution. The notice suggests that the public hearing for this code change is going to take place on October 16th, and it's in fact going to take place on November 19th at 6:15 p.m., so of course we'll make that change as well. Resolution number 11 schedules public hearing on local law to amend Chapter 293 of the Town Code regarding dock regulations. This public hearing will take place on November 7th at 2 p.m. Resolution number 12 schedules public hearing for residential parking code amendment. This is for Chapter 301. Public hearing is going to take place November 7th at 2 p.m. Resolution number 13 authorizes supervisor to execute a license agreement with Racetrack Knott Street LLC to utilize runway at EPCAL. As was done previously, they're going to store some of their equipment. They're going to pay the town $700 a month to do that. Resolution number 14, order approving lateral water main extension at 437 and 483 Youngs Avenue, Calverton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number, District 600, Section 80, Block 2, Lot 6.1 and 9.1 of the Riverhead Water District.
Laying some pipe down in Water District guys.
Resolution number 15, approves fireworks application for Baiting Hollow Club, October 29, 2024. Resolution number 16 extends bid for fertilizer and lawn chemicals. This resolution may be pulled because I'm not sure we have the information just yet. We'll confirm today.
Okay.
Pays the bills. We know what that's all about. Resolution number 18 authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with Hendrickson Fire Rescue Equipment. And this allows us to get in the queue to order a chassis and also to begin to retrofit the box. As I understand it, the ambulance is not so easy to get these. Councilman Rothwell can probably explain that
Ambulance now,
better
year and
than
a
I can.
half to 2.5 years out.
It's amazing.
So, you have to get in line. So the funds that will eventually pay for this vehicle are not gonna be until the 2025 year or potentially 2026 year. But we have one ambulance that is now going to be sent out. Hendrickson's gonna provide a loaner ambulance for the duration while they take the box off the ambulance, put it on a new chassis, outfit it, comes back like a brand new vehicle. Once that's done, we want them at that same time then to pick up another ambulance and take it out. So the reality is the second ambulance, potentially could be 3 years away. But if we don't get in line and we wait until next year's budget or the following year, then we're still gonna have that 1.5 year wait.
Okay. And that's it.
It's amazing. Okay, thank you, Devin. In a moment, we're going to close open session and go into executive session to discuss under personnel matters surrounding change in status of an employee with Chief Frost. And we have a contractual matters surrounding possible sale of real property with Thomas, Prudenti, and Hurley. So could I have a motion to close open session and go into executive session?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Open session is closed. We will retire to executive session.
Let's go Mets.